Hello, everyone. Let me start by asking you a simple question. Have you ever felt so broken, so defeated that you wondered if you could even put yourself back together? If your answer is yes, then let me tell you something important. You're not alone. Feeling broken is a moment in your life, not the definition of who you are. It's a chapter, not the whole book. And today we're going to shift the way you see those moments, because feeling broken isn't the end, it's an invitation to rebuild. Your brokenness is the beginning of your strength. We've been conditioned to see brokenness as weakness. Society teaches us to cover up our flaws, to avoid showing vulnerability, and to hide the cracks in our lives. But what if I told you that your brokenness isn't the end of your story, it's the spark for a new beginning? Think about it, some of the strongest, most resilient things in nature are created through pressure, fire, or breaking apart. Diamonds are formed under immense pressure. Volcanoes erupt to create fertile soil. Even the strongest trees bend and crack in storms but emerge standing tall. Your brokenness is no different. When life breaks you, it forces you to stop and examine what truly matters. It strips away illusions and leaves you with your raw, authentic self. And from that place of honesty, growth begins. Brokenness doesn't weaken you, it reveals your inner strength. It shows you what you're truly capable of surviving. Here's the beautiful thing about being broken, it opens you up to possibility. Imagine a vase that's shattered into pieces. You can throw it away, or you can rebuild it piece by piece into something even more beautiful. Maybe you use gold to mend the cracks, like in the Japanese art, kintsugi. Those cracks don't hide the vase's story, they highlight it, they're proof of transformation and resilience. Your brokenness teaches you lessons that strength alone never could. It teaches you compassion for yourself and for others. When you've been broken, you understand pain deeply, and that understanding becomes a bridge to connect with others who are struggling. You develop empathy, which is one of the greatest forms of strength. Brokenness also pushes you to redefine success. It's not about having everything figured out or being perfect. It's about standing back up again and again after life knocks you down. Strength is in the trying, the rebuilding, the refusing to give up. Every time you rise, you become a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more unstoppable. Here's the truth, the most inspiring people aren't the ones who have never been broken. They're the ones who faced their brokenness head-on and decided to rise anyway. They're the ones who turned their pain into purpose, their cracks into character. So don't hide your brokenness, don't feel ashamed of it. Embrace it as part of your story. Your brokenness is where your strength begins, and your strength is what will carry you forward into a future filled with possibility, hope, and transformation. Take one small step forward. When life feels overwhelming and you're staring at what seems like an impossible mountain to climb, it's easy to freeze. You feel stuck, paralyzed by the enormity of what lies ahead. The thought of fixing everything seems exhausting. But here's a secret, you don't have to fix everything right now. You don't even need to know how to reach the top of the mountain. All you need to do is take one small step forward. Why is this so powerful? Because action, no matter how small, creates momentum. Momentum breaks the cycle of inaction and self-doubt. It's like starting a car on a cold winter morning. It might sputter at first, but once it's running, it becomes easier to move. Imagine standing in a dark room with no light. You can't see the whole path, but you can take a step toward the direction where you feel a door might be. That one step leads to another, and before you know it, you find a crack of light. That's how small actions work. They illuminate the path forward, one step at a time. Small steps might look like sending one email when you're overwhelmed by a long to-do list. Taking a short walk outside when you're feeling trapped in your thoughts. Drinking a glass of water when you can't seem to muster energy for anything else. Writing down a single sentence about how you feel when journaling seems daunting. These actions might seem insignificant in the moment, but they have a compounding effect. That one email gets you started on the second. That walk shifts your mindset just enough to tackle the next thing. One sentence turns into a paragraph and then a page. Small steps build confidence, and confidence builds progress. Here's another reason why small steps matter: they're achievable. When you're broken or overwhelmed, big goals can feel intimidating, almost impossible, but small steps, they're manageable. And every time you achieve one, you prove to yourself that you're capable. It's not about making a giant leap, it's about proving to yourself that movement is possible. One small step forward may not solve everything today, but it's a victory over inertia. It's a signal to yourself that you're trying, and trying is the foundation of change. Remember, progress is progress, no matter how small. Even if you stumble, you're still moving, and before you know it, those small steps add up. They turn into strides, and those strides turn into leaps. When life feels overwhelming, don't focus on the entire journey. Just ask yourself this: what's the smallest thing I can do right now to move forward? Then do that. Because even the smallest step forward is still a step closer to where you want to be. Like you said, speak to yourself like you would a friend. Expand this point. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Speak to yourself like you would a friend. And think about the way you speak to a friend when they're struggling. You wouldn't berate them or call them a failure. You wouldn't say you'll never get through this or you're not good enough. No. You'd listen, comfort, and encourage them. So why do so many of us talk to ourselves in ways we would never dream of speaking to someone we care about? When you're feeling broken, your inner dialogue often becomes your biggest enemy. That voice in your head can be harsh, judgmental, and relentless. It tells you that you're not strong enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. But here's the truth: that voice lies, and it's time to challenge it. Imagine flipping the script. Instead of criticizing yourself, what if you became your own greatest supporter? What if instead of focusing on what's wrong, you reminded yourself of what's right? The key is to talk to yourself like you would a dear friend, someone you love, respect, and want to lift up. When a friend makes a mistake, you tell them it's okay, we all mess up, you'll learn from this. When a friend feels overwhelmed, you say, take it one step at a time. You're doing the best you can. When a friend doubts themselves, you remind them you've overcome challenges before and you will again. Why don't we offer ourselves the same kindness? The way you speak to yourself matters. Words have power. They can tear you down or build you up. And when you're broken, you need every ounce of strength to rebuild. Start by becoming aware of your self-talk. If you catch yourself saying, I'm such a failure, pause. Ask yourself, would I say this to my best friend? If the answer is no, reframe it. Instead of, I'll never get through this. Try, this is hard, but I've faced hard things before. I can handle this. This isn't about lying to yourself or ignoring reality. It's about shifting your perspective. It's about replacing unnecessary cruelty with constructive encouragement. Here's the beauty of treating yourself like a friend. It creates a foundation for self-compassion. And self-compassion isn't just nice. It's essential for resilience. When you're kind to yourself, you're better equipped to face challenges, bounce back from setbacks, and keep moving forward. Think of self-compassion as fuel for your journey. The more you offer it to yourself, the more strength you'll have to rebuild. And the more you rebuild, the more confident you'll feel in your ability to handle life's struggles. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling into self-criticism, stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, what would I say to someone I love in this moment? Then say that to yourself, because you deserve the same love and kindness you so freely give to others. Redefine what it means to be whole. We live in a world that tells us being whole means having everything together. It means being perfect without cracks or flaws. But let's challenge that notion. Wholeness isn't about perfection. It's not about having all the pieces of your life in order or never experiencing pain. Being whole is about embracing every part of yourself, the messy, the imperfect, and yes, even the broken. Think about this. Can you truly appreciate joy without knowing sorrow? Can you recognize strength without ever feeling weak? Wholeness isn't about erasing your struggles, it's about honoring them as part of your story. Let's take the Japanese art of kintsugi as an example. When a piece of pottery breaks, instead of discarding it, the artist repairs it with gold. The cracks don't disappear, they're highlighted, turning the once broken object into something even more beautiful. That's what it means to redefine wholeness. It's seeing your cracks not as flaws, but as evidence of your resilience and growth. Wholeness is about acceptance. It's about looking at your reflection and saying, this is me broken, healing, thriving, and I am enough. It means understanding that you're not defined by your setbacks or your struggles. Those are simply chapters in your story, not the whole book. When you redefine wholeness, you free yourself from the exhausting pursuit of perfection. You stop waiting for the right moment to feel complete, and you realize that completeness is already within you. It's not about fixing every problem or filling every gap. It's about learning to stand tall, even with your imperfections. Here's another shift. Being whole doesn't mean doing it all alone. It means allowing yourself to lean on others, to ask for help, and to accept love and support. True wholeness comes from connection with yourself and with the people who care about you. Redefining wholeness also means letting go of comparison. You are not meant to look like someone else's version of put together. Your path, your journey, and your healing are unique. What makes you whole is embracing that uniqueness and recognizing the strength it brings. Ultimately, wholeness isn't a destination, it's a way of being. It's a mindset that says, I am a work in progress, and that's okay. It's about holding space for both your brokenness and your beauty, for both your struggles and your successes. So let go of the outdated idea that being whole means being perfect. Instead, embrace the truth you are whole because you're real, because you're growing, and because you're learning to love yourself exactly as you are. That's the kind of wholeness that transforms lives. That's the kind of wholeness that lasts. Trust the timing of your journey. In a world that constantly pressures us to achieve more, faster, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind. You see others reaching milestones you haven't yet, and doubt creeps in. You wonder, why isn't this happening for me? Why am I still stuck? But here's something powerful. To hold on to your journey is your own, and its timing is unique to you. Life doesn't follow a straight, predictable path. It unfolds in seasons. Some seasons are for planting seeds, where your efforts feel small and invisible. Others are for waiting, where it seems like nothing is happening, but deep beneath the surface, roots are growing. And then there are seasons of harvest, where all the work you've done finally comes together and you see the results. Trusting the timing of your journey means letting go of the idea that you should be somewhere else, doing something else, or living someone else's story. It's about embracing where you are right now, even if it feels messy, uncertain, or slow. Because every step, no matter how small, is preparing you for what's ahead. Think of a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. If you try to rush the process by breaking the cocoon, the butterfly won't be strong enough to fly. It needs that time, that struggle to develop its wings. The same is true for you. The delays, the challenges, the waiting, they're not wasted time. They're building your strength, resilience, and character. Sometimes what feels like a setback is actually a setup for something greater. Maybe you didn't get that job because a better opportunity is coming. Maybe a relationship ended because you needed space to grow. Maybe the struggle you're in right now is teaching you the exact skills you'll need for the future you're destined for. Trusting the timing of your journey also means releasing the need to control everything. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't need to know every step of the path. Life is a balance of effort and surrender. Do your part, show up, take action, and keep learning, but then trust that the universe, or whatever you believe in, is working behind the scenes. When you trust the timing, you free yourself from the burden of comparison. Someone else's timeline has nothing to do with yours. Their success doesn't mean you failed. Your journey isn't less valid because it looks different. The beauty of life is that no two stories are the same. Finally, trusting the timing of your journey means finding gratitude in the present. Instead of focusing on what you don't have or where you haven't arrived, look around at what you do have. The lessons you've learned, the progress you've made, and the person you're becoming, these are all parts of your unique journey. So when you feel impatient, remind yourself life isn't a race. It's a series of moments, each one preparing you for the next. Trust that where you are now is exactly where you need to be, and that in time, everything will align in ways you can't yet imagine. Because the timing of your journey is never wrong. It's just unfolding in its perfect way.